Chosen one, pause for a breath. This moment didn't arrive by accident. Out of all the noise, all the scrolling, all the distractions fighting for your attention, this message found its way to you because something unseen has been guiding you here. Heaven itself leaned in and whispered your name. There is a reason your heart feels alert right now, like it recognizes a sound it has heard before. But long ago, in a place deeper than memory, you've been carrying questions you never fully spoke out loud. Confusion layered over strength, pain hidden beneath purpose. And chosen one, before we go deeper, pause for a moment, hit subscribe, and comment if your spirit is already responding, because this message is about to speak directly to you. Not as a routine action, but as a quiet agreement between you and destiny that you are present for what is about to be revealed. Chosen one, there were nights you didn't understand why things fell apart the way they did. Moments when the path suddenly shifted, when doors closed without explanation, when people changed, plans dissolved, and the future you imagined slipped just out of reach. You thought you were being delayed. You thought you were being denied. But what you couldn't see then was the investigation happening in the unseen. The divine weighing, the protection activating, the light intercepting what the shadow meant to use against you. What almost happened would have changed you forever. Not just your circumstances, but your heart, your ability to trust, your sense of self, your spiritual sensitivity. And that's why it still echoes. That's why certain memories feel unfinished, like a warning without words. You survived battles you were never meant to know the full details of. You were pulled back at the last possible moment, not because you were weak, but because you were chosen. This is recognition. This is revelation. This is divine validation. The confusion wasn't failure. The interruption wasn't punishment. It was timing. Perfect, precise, heavenly timing. And now, chosen one, you're here because a hidden truth is rising to the surface, one that will finally make sense of what almost happened and why you were never meant to go through with it. Hook introduction. Chosen one. You came closer than you realize, closer to something that would have altered how you love, trust, and see yourself. You think you avoided inconvenience, but you actually avoided permanent damage, and that's why the memory still feels heavy. Chosen one, let's return gently to that moment, not to reopen a wound, but to finally understand it. There was a second, quiet, almost invisible, where everything could have shifted. Nothing dramatic on the surface. No alarms, no chaos. Just a subtle pause in time, a breath held by the universe itself. And even now your body remembers it, that lingering tightness, that strange sense of something almost happened. Have you felt it? That moment didn't pass through you randomly. It passed around you. What's important is this. The moment didn't come with fear. It came with stillness. And that's how you know it wasn't danger. It was understanding waiting to arrive later. If it had been meant to claim you, your spirit would have shattered on impact. Instead, you were moved, redirected, lifted slightly out of the way. And chosen one, ask yourself, why does your nervous system still recall something your mind can't fully explain? Why does it live in your body, not your memory? Because the unseen stepped in before the impact ever reached you. Not loudly, not forcefully, but precisely. Like a hand placed on your shoulder just before you crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. You thought you hesitated. You thought circumstances changed. But what actually happened was interception. Something higher recalculated the path in real time. Heaven doesn't always warn, it sometimes removes. And that's why this moment still echoes. You didn't experience the consequence, but your soul sensed how close it came. That's a strange kind of survival, isn't it? To be saved from something you never fully lived through, yet somehow grieved. Have you ever wondered why relief and heaviness arrived together? Why safety didn't feel celebratory, but solemn? It's because part of you understands how permanent the damage would have been. Chosen one, this is where you release the idea that it was luck. Luck doesn't leave fingerprints on your spirit. Luck doesn't change your trajectory without explanation. What stopped you was intentional, timed, measured down to the second. And the reason you're only now able to look back without fear is because distance has softened the truth enough for you to receive it. So sit with this gently. Let your body relax into the knowing. You weren't weak for almost stepping into it. You were human, and you weren't saved because you were fragile. You were saved because what was ahead would have demanded more than you were ever meant to give. Doesn't that reframe everything? This moment didn't claim you because it wasn't allowed to. And now, chosen one, you're finally strong enough to understand why. Chosen one, this is where the truth becomes quiet, but undeniable. There are paths in life that don't just teach you something, they rewrite you. Paths that don't leave room for recovery, reflection, or return. And this is what your spirit already knows, even if your mind has struggled to accept it. Not every lesson is meant to be learned through pain. Some consequences are not classrooms. They are thresholds. Once crossed, the soul is never the same. You were spared because what waited on that path would have touched you too deeply. It wouldn't have been a temporary wound or a story you later told with wisdom. It would have reshaped how you trust, how you love, how you see yourself in the world. Have you ever noticed how some people come back from experiences colder, guarded, disconnected from their own light? That's not weakness, it's damage that reached the core. And chosen one, you were never meant to carry that kind of alteration. This is where protection often feels confusing. There were no flashing signs, no dramatic warnings. Instead, things simply fell apart. A door closed without explanation. A relationship shifted suddenly. An opportunity dissolved just as you reached for it. At the time, it felt cruel, disorienting, like the universe had gone silent when you needed clarity the most. But ask yourself now, what if that confusion was mercy? What if clarity would have tempted you to push forward anyway? Some outcomes don't reverse once they touch the soul. You don't bounce back from them. You adapt, you harden, you survive, but something essential dims. And that's why protection sometimes removes the path, not the person. It doesn't argue with you. It doesn't convince you. It intervenes, suddenly and without negotiation. Have you ever wondered why what you lost never came back, no matter how much you tried to resurrect it? Chosen one, this wasn't denial, it was preservation. You weren't blocked because you lacked strength. You were blocked because strength would have kept you going long past the point where your spirit could endure. And the reason it still stings is because part of you believed endurance was the goal, but wholeness was. Let this truth land gently. You didn't miss a lesson. You graduated without the scars. You were spared the version of yourself that would have emerged from that fire. Wiser maybe, but quieter, dimmer, less open. And now ask yourself with honesty and softness, what kind of protection would you rather have received? A warning you might ignore, or an ending you couldn't override? Chosen one, what was taken from you was not meant to be mourned forever. It was meant to be honored. Because some paths don't change your circumstances, they change you. And you were protected from becoming someone you were never meant to be. Chosen one. This part requires softness, not strength. Because what you escaped wasn't just an event or a consequence. It was an emotional future, a version of life you were slowly approaching without realizing how much it would have cost you. You didn't see it clearly back then because emotional erosion doesn't arrive all at once. It comes quietly, day by day, choice by choice. And that is why your spirit still reacts when you think back. If you had stayed on that path, the damage wouldn't have been immediate. It would have unfolded gently, almost invisibly. First, exhaustion that sleep couldn't fix. Then compromise, small at first, then habitual. You would have begun explaining away things that didn't feel right, telling yourself it was normal, manageable, temporary. Have you ever noticed how the soul doesn't break loudly? It fades slowly. There would have been moments where you stopped recognizing yourself, not dramatically but subtly, laughing less freely, trusting less openly, choosing peace over truth just to survive another day. And the most painful part? You would have told yourself you were being mature, when in reality, you were betraying your own emotional needs. Can you feel that timeline now, just faintly, like a shadow you almost stepped into? This is why relief and grief coexist inside you. Relief because you're not living that life. Grief because some part of you still mourns what could have been, the imagined happiness, the potential you thought you were walking toward. And chosen one, that confusion doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. It means you're human. It means your heart is capable of envisioning futures, even the ones you were never meant to endure. You escaped numbness, that slow shutting down of emotional sensitivity where nothing hurts deeply, but nothing feels deeply either. You escape becoming someone who functions, but doesn't feel alive. Someone who survives, but no longer dreams with the same innocence. Ask yourself honestly, would you have recognized the loss while it was happening, or only years later when it was too late to return? This message isn't here to haunt you with what ifs. It's here to validate why your body still exhales when it realizes you're safe. Why your spirit feels lighter even as your mind questions the ending. You didn't abandon a future. You were released from one that would have hollowed you out over time. So be gentle with yourself when that strange sadness appears. It's not regret. It's recognition. Recognition that you were spared a life where you would have slowly disappeared from yourself. And chosen one, isn't it powerful to realize that protection didn't just save you from pain? It saved you from becoming emotionally unrecognizable to your own soul? You are here now because your sensitivity survived. Your warmth survived. Your ability to feel deeply survived. And that is not something to overlook. It is something to honor. Chosen one, this is the part that confused you the most because you trusted your intuition. You had learned to listen to it, to feel its nudges, its warnings, its quiet signals in your body. And yet at the most critical moment, the moment that should have triggered alarms, there was silence. No fear, no urgency. Just a strange pause, almost calm. And you've wondered ever since, why didn't I feel anything? Why didn't my intuition warn me? Here is the truth your spirit is ready to receive now. Your intuition didn't fail you. It stepped aside. There are moments when intuition guides, and there are moments when something higher intervenes. At that point, the decision is no longer yours to wrestle with. Divine authority overrides internal warning systems because the outcome has already been decided. If your intuition had screamed, you would have questioned it. You might have resisted. You might have tried to reason your way through it. But silence creates surrender. Have you noticed that? That pause you felt wasn't confusion. It was containment. It was like time itself slowed just enough for you to be moved without resistance. And chosen one, doesn't it make sense now why panic never arrived? Panic is for danger you must escape. This wasn't escape. This was removal. Sometimes intuition freezes not because it doesn't know, but because it knows too much. It knows that no action is required from you, that the intervention is already in motion, that your only role is to not interfere. And so your body softened, your thoughts slowed, your emotions dulled just enough to keep you from forcing an outcome that would have harmed you. Ask yourself gently, have you ever felt guided most strongly when you were quiet, not alert? When answers came after the fact, not before. That's because some protections are revealed only in hindsight. They are meant to be understood later, when your nervous system is safe enough to process the truth. Chosen one, this is why you shouldn't doubt yourself for that moment of stillness. You weren't disconnected, you were covered. Your intuition didn't abandon you. It trusted what was happening beyond you. It trusted the hand that stepped in when your own awareness wasn't meant to carry the burden. And this is deeply important to understand moving forward. Silence is not always uncertainty. Calm is not always consent. Sometimes the absence of warning is the clearest sign that something greater has taken control. Doesn't that reframe the memory entirely? So release the self-blame. Release the questions that loop endlessly. You didn't miss a sign. You were the one being protected. And now, chosen one, your intuition is returning, not weaker but wiser. It knows the difference between moments where it must guide and moments where it must bow. That pause didn't put you in danger. It saved you from it. And understanding that is part of your healing. Chosen one, survival is not always loud. Sometimes it leaves behind a quiet aftertaste you can't quite name. You expected relief to feel clean, light, even celebratory, You thought safety would arrive like a sunrise, warm, obvious, unquestionable, but instead it came mixed with confusion, a heaviness you couldn't justify, a strange sense that something had ended, even though you were still standing. And you've wondered, why don't I feel the way I thought I would? This is the emotional residue of escape. When you are saved from something significant, your system doesn't immediately celebrate, it recalibrates. Your body and spirit had braced for impact that never arrived. Energy was mobilized, emotion was prepared, and when the danger was removed, that energy had nowhere to go. So it settled, it lingered, it turned into that off feeling you couldn't explain. Have you noticed how your mind tried to move on, but your body needed more time? Relief didn't arrive cleanly because what you escaped was real, even if it never fully happened. You were close enough for your soul to sense the cost, close enough to mourn an ending that didn't follow a visible beginning. That's why the confusion feels layered. Part gratitude, part grief. Not for what you lost, but for what almost became your reality. Can you feel the difference? Chosen one, this heaviness is not regret. It is not weakness. It is integration. It's the process of your nervous system learning that it no longer needs to stay on guard, that it can soften again. And softening after prolonged tension can feel uncomfortable. It can feel like sadness, but it isn't loss. It's release happening slowly. You're not broken for feeling this way. You're honest. Many people suppress this phase, forcing themselves to be grateful without honoring the shock their system absorbed. But you are sensitive enough to feel the transition. That sensitivity is not a flaw. It's proof that you were present during your own rescue. Ask yourself gently, what if this strange aftertaste is not something to get rid of, but something to listen to? What if it's telling you how deeply you were protected, how narrowly you escaped a life that would have drained you in ways you're only now beginning to understand? Chosen one, safety doesn't always feel like happiness at first. Sometimes it feels like quiet, like stillness after noise, like an empty room after a storm. And emptiness can feel unsettling until you realize it's space. Space for peace, clarity, and new alignment. So don't rush yourself through this. Let the heaviness pass in its own time. It is not a sign that you lost something valuable. It is a sign that you survived something significant. And that awareness is part of your awakening, not your burden. You are not behind, you are decompressing, and that chosen one is how true healing begins. Chosen one, this is where everything settles into truth. Not the kind that needs proof, timelines, or explanations, but the kind your spirit recognizes instantly, because what saved you didn't leave evidence behind. No clear signs, no witnesses, no visible miracle you can point to and say, this is where it happened. And that has made part of you uneasy. You've asked yourself, how do I trust something I can't prove? How do I honor protection I can't explain? But listen closely. What if proof was never the point? Some rescues are not designed to be analyzed. They are designed to be felt. They move through intuition, timing, interruption, and silence. They don't announce themselves because if they did, your mind would try to negotiate, rationalize, or resist them. So they arrive quietly, leave no receipts, and trust that one day your awareness will catch up to what your soul already knows. Chosen one, your survival is the evidence. You are still here with your sensitivity intact, your heart still open, your capacity to feel, love, hope, and believe still alive. Do you know how rare that is after what almost happened? If protection had not intervened, you might still be standing, but you wouldn't be this. Something essential would have been missing, and that absence would have been the proof. Instead, you carry a knowing without a story, a sense of gratitude without a clear reason, a respect for the unseen that wasn't learned, it was earned. Have you noticed how certain experiences don't need explanation to feel real? How you don't question the wind or gravity or intuition itself, yet you trust them fully? This is the same kind of trust. Learning to honor protection you can't prove means releasing the need to justify your safety. It means letting go of the idea that everything meaningful must be documented, understood, or validated by others. Some things are sacred precisely because they happen between you and the unseen alone. And chosen one, isn't it comforting to realize that you were watched even when you didn't know how to watch yourself? You don't need to convince anyone of what saved you. You don't need to revisit the moment endlessly, searching for logic. The calm that arrived afterward, even mixed with confusion, was the confirmation. The quiet strength you walk with now is the confirmation. The fact that you can reflect instead of recover is the confirmation. So ask yourself gently, what would change if you trusted that you were protected simply because you are still aligned with who you truly are? What if faith isn't believing why it happened, but accepting that it did? Chosen one, some rescues are meant to remain invisible so you don't worship the event. You honor the outcome. And the outcome is this: you are here, whole enough to continue, aware enough to grow, and protected enough to trust again. You don't need proof. You are the proof.